Alright, welcome back. Lance here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use these 7 floor patterns and to generate your own wood flooring patterns. Alright, let's have a look at pattern number 1. Drop in a wood floor like this. We instantly have a nice floor pattern. And if you look closely at this floor pattern, you see there are no two wood planks that have the same texture. Each plank has a completely different wood pattern. And let's have a look at the material itself. We have the wood shader right here, and then we have the wood generator here, and finally we have this floor pattern 1. And this floor pattern output a bunch of different information. We have the mask right here. The mask indicates where the plank should be and the gaps in between the planks. And we have the UV of the plank. Earlier, I said you should not use the UV for your solid object, but right now we have just a flat object, not a 3D object, so the plank UV works just fine. And then we have the random output, which is a random number for each plank, and you can use this random number to generate a different color for each plank. You see, this is the color number 2 of the wood, and here I generate the color number 1 for the wood. And then I put these two into the color 1 and 2 of the wood generator to generate the final wood. And then we have the plank ID, which is a unique ID for each plank. And you can use this ID to generate random numbers for each plank. For example, I can use a white noise texture and put in the plank ID like this. And you see here we have some very nice random values for each plank. And here we have the random color for each plank as well. From this color, we can separate XYZ to get 3 different sets of random numbers. And next we have the distance from the edge. This map indicates how far it is from the edges of the planks. And finally, we have the height output. These planks are not very high, so you don't see a lot. So let me set the height all the way to 1. So you see this is the height information of the plank. And I use this height information as the additional height within the wood to create this bump for each plank. So let me set this height back to 0.02. There we go. Okay, it's time to take a closer look at the floor pattern number 1. So let me just show you the mask. So the render is a little faster. And I'm gonna increase the gap so that you can see everything a little more clearly. So we have size X and size Y values. These control the size of the planks. And then we have this size Y random value. This value will randomize the size of the planks in the Y direction. So you see here we have some short planks, and here we have a much longer plank. So you see along the Y direction, the planks will have different length. Now, before we get to the repeat cycles, we have to take a look at the shift value. So let me lower this to 0. There we go. So you see we get rid of all the shifting of the plank. And let me increase this a little bit. So you see along the x-axis, the planks kind of shift up a little bit for every row, every column. And at a certain number of columns, the shift kind of reset to 0 again. And that repeat cycle is set using this number. Right now it was set to 6, so we have 6 columns before a reset. But we can set this to 2 to have a reset every 2 columns like this. And using a repeat cycle of 2 and a shift value of 0.5, we have a brick pattern like this. Okay, let me get rid of the repeating cycles as well as the shifting. Next, we have the random shift value. This will shift the columns randomly, like this. But you see, the shifting also repeat every 2 cycles. And I can increase the repeat cycles to something higher to have a more randomized look. And if you don't like this particular randomization, you can change the seed value down here to have a completely different randomized formation. Now you should keep in mind that once you increase this value to 1, then this shift value no longer has any meaning. And next we have the gap, which is the gap in between the planks. For now, let's just leave it as 0.01 so that we can see the patterns more clearly. Once we are done with everything, we should set this to something smaller, like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters. and we'll get back to the bevel later. Next, we have the random XYZ. Now, let's have a look at the plank UV. You see, each plank has a completely different UV. That is to randomize the cut of the wood to get a different slice for every plank. But you can get rid of these random values to have all the planks share the same UV. And if we use this as the texture coordinate, you see all the planks have exactly the same texture. This is not ideal unless you want to get some artificial look for the wood. If you want to create natural wood, you have to increase these values. So let's increase the random X value. So you see each plank kind of shift along the X-axis a random distance. And likewise, we have the random Y value. The Y direction is up and down because the wood is now facing this way and not upward, right? So the Y direction of the wood is up and down like this. So by increasing the random Y direction, you are shifting the cut of the wood up and down, and so you generate a completely different slice of wood for every plank. And finally, we have the random Z, which is the slide along the vertical direction of the wood. And next, let's have a look at the height output. Currently, we have very low displacement because the height is set to 0.002, which is 2 millimeters. But we can set this to 1 to have the planks displaced by 1 meter like this. Alright, let's have a closer look at the edges of the planks. So you see we have a smooth transition from black to white. And this distance was set using this bevel parameter. Currently it was set to 2 millimeters, but you can increase this to, let's say, 1 centimeter. And now we have a 1 centimeter bevel. So let me set this back to 0.002 and this to 0.002 as well. There we go. So we have a 2 millimeter gap in between the planks and another 2 millimeters of beveling. Next, we have these three parameters to control the distortion of the plank. Right now the strength was set to 0, so there is no distortion, but let me set this to 0.01. So you see we have a bunch of distortion. And we have the distortion details. If we increase the details to something very high, you see we have very rough distortion. But if you set this to 0, you see we have a very smooth distortion. However, if you look down here, you see the planks are merging together because of the distortion. So if you set the distortion to something other than 0, then you might want to configure the gap as well to make sure that the planks don't merge together like this. So let me set the distortion back down to 0.002, so it's 2 millimeters of distortion, and I'm gonna increase this to 0.003. So you see the planks are now a lot more believable because each plank has a slightly different distortion. And next we have the distortion size. Let me increase the strength a little bit like that and lower the size to show you the effect. So you see the noise that was used to distort the planks is now a lot smaller, but 0.2 is a little too small, so I'm going to set this to 0.6. There we go. Increase the details to 4, lower the strength to just 1 millimeter. And let's have a look at the final result. And let's turn back on the walls. And there we go. Next, let's have a look at pattern number 2. Drop in the material, and we have another floor pattern. And once again, no two planks share the same texture. And let's have a look at the floor pattern. We have the same output, so I'm not going to cover this again. We also have these inputs, which are similar to floor pattern number 1, but we have these two parameters that are unique to this particular floor pattern. That is the width of the plank and the length ratio. So with this floor pattern, the length of the plank has to be a multiplier of the width. And let's change the width of the plank. So you see the length of the plank follows the width as well, but let's lower this to 3. So now the length of the plank is equal to 3 times the width. And the lowest possible value for the length ratio is 1. We have this very nice checker pattern. Alright, next let's have a look at floor number 3. And again, this floor pattern number 3 has the same output and a bunch of same inputs. But we have 3 unique inputs. right here. First, we have the column width, which is this distance. So I'm going to set this to 1, and now you see it's exactly 1 meter for each column. And then this parameter set the width of the planks within the column. The width of the plank is this diagonal distance right here. And finally, we have the rotation angle of the planks. You can change this number to anything you want. For example, something like this. Right. So that's all about floor pattern number 3. Let's have a look at floor pattern number 4. And once again, we have the same parameters down here and 3 unique parameters. We have the pattern size, which is the size of this square. All right. Currently, it was set to 1 meter, so each side of this square is 1 meter. And let's try a different number, something smaller like this, or something bigger like that. And we have the plank width, which control the width of the planks. And then we have the rotation angle of the planks. Next, we have pattern number 5. Now this pattern number 5 has 4 unique parameters. So let's have a look at these. We have the plank length, which is this length right here. And it's also this length. And then we have plank width number 1. This parameter controls this distance, right? And also this distance. Next, we have the subplank parameter. This parameter will divide this region into a number of planks. So, for example, I can set this to 3 to have 3 planks within this region. Or I can set this to 1 to have 1 single plank for this entire region. And finally, we have plank width number 2, which is the width of this plank. So let me decrease this to something smaller. There we go. So you see, by setting this number to something lower, we can cram a lot more planks into this square. All right. Let's have a look at pattern number 6. And again, we have the tile size, which is the size of this square, like right here. All right. And then we have the plank width, which is the size from here to here. All right. And then we have subdiv 1, which is the subdivision of this region. It was set to 2, so we have 2 planks here, but we can set this to 1 to have a single plank right here. Or you can set this to any number you want. Let's say a bunch, like this. So I'm going to set this back to 3 to have 3 planks within this region. And then we have the subdivision number 2, which will subdivide the square inside here. And let's set this to 3 to have a 3 by 3 subdivision, which results in 9 squares within this region. And then we have this angle value. This value will rotate the texture within these squares. So you see, by setting this angle to 45 degrees, you see the wood grains kind of line up into a square looking pattern like this. And then in this corner, we have this cross looking pattern. All right, next let's have a look at pattern number 7, the final pattern. Let's have a look at this floor pattern. Now this floor pattern is a little special because it's repeating in a hexagon fashion. So let's have a look at the note itself. Again, we have the same parameters down here, but we have 3 unique parameters. We have the tile size, which is the width of one hexagon. It was set to 0.4 meters, so the width of the hexagon is exactly 0.4 meters. So it's from here to here. It's 4 squares right here. And next we have the plank rotate. This is the rotation of the cut within the hexagon cells. So set this to 0 to have something like this, and set this to exactly 30 degrees to cut like this. Or you can set this to any number you want. And then we have this texture rotate, which will rotate the texture within the planks. You can set this to 120 degrees to have the wood texture kind of line up in a very interesting fashion like this. So here you see the wood patterns are lining up in a hexagon fashion, and then down here we have the wood kind of going in different direction. So set this back down to 0 to have the wood pattern kind of follow the direction of the plank. Now, one thing that is extra special about this pattern is the plank ID. So let's have a look at the plank ID and separate XYZ. Alright, so the X and Y ID are pretty much normal, but the Z ID is the special one. So you see the ZID is repeating for each cell like this. Here we have 0, and here we have 0.5, and here we have 1. These values are very useful. For example, for this particular floor pattern, I used this ZID to change the color of the planks like this to create an illusion of a 3D effect like this. And this is the final result. So it looks like a bunch of cubes, right? And this is the top of the cube. This is the face that face away from the light, and this is the other side of the cube. So I was able to create this 3D effect using the ZID. And likewise, I have this using the same ZID. And that is all for this tutorial. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to use the glued wood as well as the plywood materials.